This is Scott Baceno, editor of Telecoms.com, here at the Tech Mahindra offices in sunny central London, and I'm delighted to be speaking to Julian from VMO2. So Julian, main purpose of this conversation is just to get to know a bit about you and what you do. So perhaps we can take it from the top, and could you talk us through your career journey, what got you to where you are today?
Yeah, of course. It's. I feel like I've been born in telecoms. Is kind of my career. So I started when I was 16 years old. I joined the Royal Signals, and I spent 9 years in the Signals and kind of had quite an eclectic mix of kind of roles in there. Everything from installing fibre optic cables in nuclear vaults in Germany.
Wow.
All the way through to kind of climbing and rigging towers in Northern Ireland for radio comms to support the police and the army who were patrolling West Belfast. Did some, latest technology stuff there, and also some old exchanges that almost had valves in and lights on. So it was a really great kind of experience, but it was a great kind of foundation for me to kind of come out into the real world in my kind of mid-20s. And then I started a company called One-to-One at the time, so kind of similar to Orange in its day back in the mid-90s. And I started as a trainee field engineer in North London. And I remember getting a clock that we got our first 1 million customers on the 2G network. I very quickly moved into a role around 3G introduction. So, we're trying to turn 3G off now.
Yeah.
And we're just about to spend £5 billion for a license. And I was there at the start of it when we had a cabin outside of a data center when we're doing our original trials. So from a kind of a technology, I've kind of seen the kind of evolution from, almost from the start all the way through to 5G.
So then bringing us up to today, so one of your roles, I understand, is to do with making sure that the customer experience, the connected experience for VMO2 customers is as good as possible. Mm-hmm. Can you talk us through a little bit about your day job now and what involves with that?
Yeah, I mean, again, because of the role that I've got, it's kind of end-to-end. So I look after the end-to-end mobile network, the availability of the mobile network, the availability of the broadband network, the TV systems, all of our IT estate. So I think from an actual customer experience using the products, my teams have a direct accountability into making sure that those products are available to be used for the customer every day, all the way through from single individual customer faults all the way through to large scale challenges we have in the network or introduction of new technology. I think on the other side of it, I support all of our customer care and retail teams as well with all of the tools and systems they use. So we do a lot of work on making sure that actually people don't need to call customer care in the first place, is where we are. It's not about automating everything so it's all faster. It's about stopping it happening in the first place, so you don't need to call. So
that's the best way.
That has a direct correlation to customer experience, NPS, ability for our own customers to sell our products for us. So I think, and we've got some really good plans, and we've seen some amazing improvements over the last kind of 12 to 18 months in that space. So yeah, I think my teams absolutely feel passionate about the customer every day and putting them first.
And operators on the whole, I know from my day job as a journalist, operators are under a constant scrutiny when it comes to sort of service delivery. Mm-hmm. So I imagine you're acutely aware of every increment in either direction where you go in that one. And just thinking about VMO2, I know Virgin Media has been on a long journey from various different iterations and bits of M&A in the past, and then there's the merger with O2, and so that involves a lot of change. Mm-hmm. And of course, as you were just describing, the industry changes very rapidly anyway, mm-hmm. technologically and everything like that. And I think you describe yourself as a change leader. Mm-hmm. So perhaps you could just explain a little bit what is involved in being a change leader and what has required mm-hmm. that role in your time at VMO2.
I think it goes back before VMO2, but I think that the last probably 3 or 4 roles I've had have been about how do we make sure that you don't accept the norm and just, we're not here to run the networks. We're here to make a difference and make it better. I think bringing together a mobile network and a fixed network in its own right is a technical challenge. Bringing together very different cultures as well, and teams and different kind of tenures within there is probably a bigger challenge.
Yeah.
In the early days, there was a lot of talk about, are you red or blue?
Yeah.
And well, we do it this way and we do it that way. And I think the part about being a change leader is making sure that you create a compelling vision and a subtle integration that means that people feel they're part of a new brand rather than holding on to the old one.
Yeah.
That's where the success comes. If you can't get people to, it's not about forgetting the past. It's about taking the best bits from the past of both of those worlds, but also an opportunity where the teams can be empowered to put something new in place as well, so they feel like it's theirs. And because there's so much change going on within the company and organisational, people have to trust you. People have to believe that the reasons why this is being done are the right reasons, and they feel part of that, and they feel they're driving it. This isn't, this has to be a bottom up cultural change within the company and integration and all the work we're doing. It can't be top down because you just lose people along the way. So I think that's why we've been so successful, is that we've done true integration. But if you're not prepared to change or you're not excited by change, then this isn't the place to be.
And then more broadly, in terms of other partners that you obviously, as I know, because this is my day job writing about it, operators involve a lot of partners in what they do. Can you just talk a little bit through that a little bit more about how partners support you in your day job?
So partners and partnerships are really important to me. I think the first most important priority for me is around they bring a different perspective into the organisation. Not only do they work with us in different parts of our organisation, sometimes they work in different operators across the world, but more importantly for me, different industries as well, everything from kind of banking to medical, most of them. So there's a kind of quite an eclectic mix. And I think that's the important bit about how do you make sure that you take the best within the world of partnerships and not just what you've got within your own kind of telecom sector. I think what we also see is that the partnerships bring most of the time a more consistent way to do things as well. So you get a much more embedded process and more consistency out the back of those partnerships. They allow us to focus on more strategic initiatives as well. So if you've got tried and tested areas where you want someone else to kind of run it for you, then that's also a great way of kind of outsourcing or giving partnerships to other people to do it. I think the most important bit is about making sure that they have clear accountability and that they actually fit. I don't wake up in the middle of the night and worry about work because I know that everyone else does, so I sleep well. But I want to make sure that everyone who works in my environment, whether they're a partner or a contractor or a permanent member of staff, they're not lying awake at night worrying about it, but they are worrying about it every day and trying to work out how they improve it. So that value add part I think is a really important part, and that's what I look for in partnerships.
Totally, that makes sense. And just to finish off, just want to look to the future in terms of your priorities, your role, VMO2, and then also the role that partners play in it. Can you just tell us a little bit about sort of challenges and priorities that you anticipate in your role over the next few years?
We're still integrating as a company and evolving technology, so there's still a lot of technology change happening within the company. So trying to do that whilst maintaining and improving customers' experience at the same time is no mean feat in its own right. We've got 46 million mobile connections and 6 million broadband connections. When you're trying to change out the core of your networks at the same time, that's pretty hard, and it's not an easy challenge. And I think the last bit for me is that everybody talks about AI.
Yes,
all of the time. In fact, I've probably stopped going to a few conferences because that's all they talk about now. And I think it's about we are maturing, looking at automation and AI and Gen AI. But the reality is that it's not as embedded as people say it is in a network environment, maybe more in a customer care point of view with chatbots and the capability to interact with customers directly. What we're trying to do is we're trying to drive down the root causes in the first place, get our data right, to make sure that you can build on that. So what I always say to my teams is, we're not here to shovel crap faster, because if the customer still has a problem, then that's not the right way to do it. So it is foundation, basics, get the numbers of problems down, predict and prevent, stop the customers having a problem in the first place. What you haven't got out the back of that, then you've got a really good data set to automate, and then ultimately to kind of put AI on top if you feel that you need, from customer pattern recognition and intelligence within the network. So we're doing all different bits of it, but I do struggle with the amount of time that people feel that they want me to talk about what we're doing in AI, and we're doing lots of stuff. But you have to not believe all the hype, because there's some basics we have to keep going to do. And if you allow people to look at shiny objects, all they will do is go and look at shiny objects. And actually, we've got stuff to do here that doesn't need AI, but does need AI. So trying to find that balance between the two, I think, is probably one of the biggest challenges over the next couple of years.
Yeah, once more, I agree. Focusing on the latest technology can be a distraction from focusing on the core day job. And once more, you didn't say it, but you seem to be evoking a sort of bottom-up philosophy where let's just deal with the matter at hand before we start thinking about these utopian things. But then one other thought springs to mind with your skill set that you've just shared with us is from the cultural side, as things do get more automated and AI plays more of a role, I think there are a lot of cultural adjustments that are going to need to be made, and people with the skill set of yours, I think, are going to come to the fore in a whole new way of how to integrate normal, sort of regular human activities with AI. So that'll be fascinating, and it's been fascinating getting to know you and learning about your job. So I'll just thank you very much for your time, and it's great speaking to you.
Thank you.